Today, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about how to light your stop motions like a pro. Now, this is super important to get right because, as we all know, lighting is 50% of the video. Wait, no, that's audio. So the best light for stop motion is going to be some cheap desk lamps with some LED bulbs, or whatever light you have lying around that works. These LED lamps work pretty good as well, and I still use this lamp in my stop motions to this day. Oh, yeah. Now, if you really want to step up your game, then you can get an affordable softbox light for around $50, but I don't blame you if you don't. You still make some awesome lighting with some cheap desk lamps. So now that we have our light source, what do we do with it? Well, your first instinct may be to place it over your subject pointing straight down, but unless you're filming an interrogation scene, you don't want to do that. Instead, you should resort to the 3-point lighting setup. It consists of a key light to light the majority of your subject, a fill light to reduce the shadows on the other side of the key light, and a backlight to separate your subject from the rest of the background. And don't worry if you only have 2 lights. You can always remove the fill light and replace it with a piece of paper to bounce some light from the other lamps. And that's not the only way you can light a scene. You also have the side light, the overhead light, the underhead light, the backlight, the front light, the silhouette light, the nighttime light, the early morning light, and the whatever this is light. You can do pretty much whatever, just as long as it fits the mood of your scene. Oh, and also be sure to put the camera on the shadow side of the subject to keep things nice and cinematic. And now for some quick pro tips on how to get rid of that pesky flicker. Make sure there's no direct light coming from behind you, or else this will happen. Be sure to turn off your ceiling fan when you're animating so that it won't constantly bounce light in different places. Unless your room gets really hot, then in that case just leave it on, because you're not going to want to animate with it off, because it'll get warm. And anyways, be sure to put some curtains over those windows, or just animate at night. And some people will tell you to only wear black when animating, but I don't, and my stop motions turn out pretty clean, so I don't think you need to either. Also, it might be your light source causing the flicker. The best way to test that is to film the light in slow motion and see if you notice it doing any sketchy stuff. And if you've done all that and you're still dealing with bad flicker, it might just be your camera settings. Make sure you're shooting full manual with a locked white balance, and also make sure your ISO is as low as possible and that your shutter speed is as high as it can go without it being too bright. The reason you want to crank your shutter speed up is because that's going to allow the photo to be taken over a longer period of time, which will blend the light flicker together, in theory. So with all of these principles applied, let me whip out my phone and animate a little with this desk lamp to show you what it should look like with just one light. So after setting my camera up, I turned on my softbox for a nice key light, and then I put this desk lamp in the back for a nice backlight, and then I started animating. Going into this, I thought I had light flicker all figured out, but then I started animating with my phone, and some weird stuff started happening. So after a few attempts, I finally realized what caused the flicker. So when any marginally big motion happens, the phone, even though it's set on full manual, will oftentimes try to correct the image, resulting in some nasty flicker. To fix this, I retook the frame, and sometimes that would fix it, but there were other times that I had to readjust the shutter speed to get it right. So, with a bit of troubleshooting, this is the final product. Now, there is still a little bit of flicker in this, but it is so much better than the previous attempts, and I think that as far as flicker goes, this is a pretty good video. So I hope you've learned something from this tutorial. Be sure to let me know in the comments what you'd like to see from this channel next. And you know the drill about liking and subscribing to channels that you like, so I'm not going to remind you. But it would be much appreciated.